Here's why Kevin Stefanski will get rid of Shedeur Sanders even before mandatory training camp for Browns. There's no confusion inside Cleveland's building. Kevin Stefanski runs a notoriously structured offense that demands quick reads, timing routes, and absolute efficiency. What he doesn't do is manage distractions, and Shedeur Sanders, through no fault of his own, arrived with more of that than the Browns expected, not just from his name, but from how he carried it through the pre-draft process. According to an AFC personnel executive who spoke with Pro Football Talk, Shedeur treated the draft like he was being recruited, not interviewed. That rubbed a few teams the wrong way. By the time Sanders went off the board at number 144, Cleveland had already spent pick number 94 on Dillon Gabriel. That was their quarterback target, not a hedge. They were very high on Dillon, per Jeremy Fowler. They loved how he plays the position. Smaller frame, but he processes fast. He fits them. Now, this is where the whole theory of a trade comes into play because Gabriel fits. Sanders doesn't. That's the crux of it. The Browns now have 5 quarterbacks on the roster: Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Gabriel, Shedeur, and a rehabbing Deshaun Watson. For as a crowd, 5 is untenable. By the time the roster trims from 90 to 53, 2 of them will be gone. Sanders wasn't even plan A or B. Meanwhile, Stefanski's been consistent about his quarterback philosophy. Win the pocket, stay ahead of schedule, and above all, avoid unnecessary drama. That's why he reportedly pushed for Pickett, a safe veteran reclamation project with starting experience. That's why Gabriel was drafted, system fit, coachable, and more importantly, Cleveland's deliberate target. Have an interesting take? Shedeur? He was a luxury. An opportunistic grab made when value intersected with curiosity. That only buys so much time. Fowler put it perfectly when he said, "The Browns look at the roster as currency. So, maybe they showcase someone in the preseason, then flip them." Gabriel cost them a 3rd-round pick. Pickett cost multiple day 3 selections in a trade. Sanders? A 5th-rounder petty pick. If they move on from that, they lose little. If they trade him after a few highlight throws in preseason, they gain everything: cap room, clarity, and maybe even a late-round pick in 2026. Because for a franchise that needs a branding #legendary, as well as the Sanders name, would bring that. Long story short, Stefanski isn't running a quarterback orphanage. He's trying to win in the AFC North. And after the Deshaun Watson mess, a $230 million gamble that blew up both financially and functionally, this regime has no appetite for another media-driven sideshow. If a Shedeur Sanders goodbye is to happen, it won't be the first. Let's not kid ourselves. This ain't the first time a quarterback's been drafted late, hyped up, and then left on the tarmac before training camp even got rolling. Meanwhile, the Browns' OTAs are not far away. May 27th to 28th, June 3rd to 4th, and June 6th, wrapping up with a mandatory veteran minicamp from June 10th to 12th. So, is Shedeur Sanders already getting the pass? Well, for the upcoming rookie camp, yes. The rest? God's plan. Andrew Berry basically told us without telling us. "We didn't expect him to be available," he said when asked about drafting Sanders. What does that even mean? And that whole "we like adding competition" line? Classic GM code for "this pick won't break us if it flames out." If Shedeur's story ends early, it won't be unprecedented. Actually, it fits a pattern. Take Kevin Hogan, for instance. The Chiefs drafted him in the 5th round in 2016 before cutting him short ahead of the season. By September, Kevin was in Cleveland. Or remember Danny Etling in 2018, the 7th-round pick who couldn't be the steal for the Patriots. Danny, ultimately, played 0 snaps for the team despite his efforts to give his shot as a WR, if not QB. He failed. The Pats cut him. Chris Oladikin, drafted by the Steelers in 2022, never saw daylight. Didn't get reps, didn't get a shot. Cut before he could even grab a camp towel. 241st pick. He was gone in August. It's a cold world for late-round QBs, especially when there's no clear development track. History says guys like Sanders usually don't make it to August. So if Cleveland moves on, don't act shocked. That's just the league doing what it's always done. Now the question is, does Shedeur beat the history books? Well, that'd be legendary. 50 years after Deion Sanders' unforgettable promise to mother, he challenges haters to bother his family again. "Love you, man, and I appreciate you, my brother." I will never publicly or privately speak negatively about you, man, regardless of what's said. You know I know you, and I'm holding on and praying for the AB I know. Even when I played corner, I ain't need any help. Lol. Love you too, life. Prime. This was Deion Sanders subtly replying and choosing to be the big guy amid Antonio Brown's barrage of ex-posts targeting Shedeur's draft, and later Shiloh and Deion Sanders in some foul language. The head coach's reply was not an accident. It was deliberately intentional, something Coach Prime wanted the world to know. That he will not tarnish the legacy of his storied career for a person who has something of a track record in embroiling himself in controversies. This time, he chose to reply to all the hate in a wholly different way now. His inspiration? His mother, that we all know the storied career of two-time Super Bowl winner Deion Sanders, the NFL player who is now the Buffs head coach. But this wasn't always the case, as the legend has seen times when he was even ashamed of his mother, a time when he took the oath to take his mother and his family to everything they desired. It happened when he was just 7 years old as his mother mopped the floor of Lee Memorial Hospital in Fort Myers, Florida, and he reminisced that, "I was ashamed of my mama because she worked in a hospital." But this one incident transformed Deion Sanders' life. The Buffs head coach has repeatedly said that everything he has done till now and every cent he earned was because of a promise to his mother. A promise that continues even today when she is 100 years old. The head coach promised his mother, Connie Knight, that he would take care of my mama for the rest of her life. Deion Sanders made this promise at just 7 years old, and now? Well, the head coach has a reply for haters as he posted some photos with his mother. Deion Sanders posted several pictures of his mother stylishly sitting on a chair as Deion is standing behind him in a moving picture. The head coach captioned the picture, "My mama was, and still is my why. All the way from Fort Myers, Florida number 239, she ain't worked since '89. And you got the nerve to hate. Hate on that. Hashtag Coach Prime at MamaConnie21foot." Other pictures depict Coach Prime lovingly kissing his mother's hands as he sends the message to all his haters about why he still goes to the office every day and how he faces that hate every day that he gets told. The Sanders family has been widely in the news since the NFL draft ended. Even before that, several analysts and coaches termed his son, Shedeur, arrogant after his NFL Combine interview. Then, after the draft, when Shedeur was shockingly drafted in the 5th round and slipped massively in the draft, the trolls were directed at Deion Sanders and his alleged involvement in his son's draft. All of this intensified when Shiloh Sanders jokingly remarked about how his changing of agents, from his dad, led to his signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The statement was nothing more than a playful joke, but AB? Well, Antonio Brown came hard at Deion Sanders with his scathing ex-posts. Deion Sanders unbothered by the AB's alleged hate comments? The former Steelers WR berated Shedeur Sanders for his draft slip and made his dad, Deion Sanders, a culprit in the slip. After that, when Shedeur was recently visiting a local high school in Brown's student engagement drive, AB didn't stop himself from commenting on the issue and suggested the life that comes for a backup QB. The WR wrote, "Now he sue, GD? We're the cock. Ness, 5th round, huh? Now this the type of S they have you do when you go 5th round." AB remarked about Shedeur's high school visit. He then blasted Deion Sanders for the involvement in the draft process and wrote, "Deion's stupid, trying to be an agent, a coach, a commentator, preacher. Ain't buying that S." Deion? Well, we all know how Deion Sanders responded to all of this, as mentioned above. Subtle, imposing, and never crossing the line that tarnishes his legacy. With this recent statement, Coach Prime seems unbothered and standing strong amid the hate he is getting. The man just wants to fulfill the 50-year-old promise of his mother and take care of his family. The Instagram post is nothing but a warning sign that there could be some limits people shouldn't cross.